like this. This is a fun thing to do. Transformations.
Maybe you forgot a little.
Transformations. There's an S there, you just can't see it. Transformations. Basically, in generic terms, transformations are basically how shapes move. And let's say I've got a triangle. Apparently, this triangle is a white-on-white triangle. That would be something good. I've got this triangle here, and that triangle moves from there to there. It just kind of goes in this direction like this. In generic terms, you might call this a slide, but in math they have to make things a little more complicated. It's not a slide, it is called anybody? It's called a translation. In other words, it basically just slides from one place to another. Notice how it didn't turn, it didn't spin, it didn't change, it didn't, it's the same look and shape, just moved from here to there. Now this one, let's do this. I guess I can copy this one. If I have a shape, I got a lot of them here, and this shape end up doing this, which means it did that sort of thing there. What do you suppose we call that? Ryan?
Rotation.
Very good. A rotation. And again, that's the math term for just spinning something or turning it. And then last but not least, that I don't have any room left now. Wait a minute, maybe I can do some stuff, can I? Think I can take all this and just slide it over here? Sure I can. That was handy, wasn't it? Still got this thing pasted here. If I take this thing, oh, see, that's not a good one to do. I want to change it a little bit, can I? No, I can't change it a little bit. I'm going to get rid of that. And give me a different shape. Give me a different shape. How about a right triangle? Let's say I've got this shape like this, and I end up with this like this. What is that called? Sammy?
A reflection.
Yeah, a reflection. And I don't know what's a good modern day for that, kind of like a mirror image of it. Okay, those are basically the three different types of transformations that you are going to run into here. Except it's going to get a little complicated here, so I'm going to do an example just so you can kind of see it here. Now, especially when you talk about let me see if we can do something here. Oh. Maybe they don't ask you that. Well, maybe, yeah. Let's do this. You got some lines on your paper there? Let's say I've got a triangle. And this triangle is in point 2, 1. And it is in 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it is also in what? 4, 5, 1. Here's my triangle. And you are asked to slide it, which is a what? Translate it 2 down and 1 to the left. How would that work? So what color should we use? Let's use green. How would you do that? Well, you just start at each point. What am I supposed to do to each point? I'm supposed to go 2 down and 1 left. So 2 down and 1 left would give me this point right here. And it's probably good to label these A, B, and C. When you make a new point, what's your question?
What does that say?
2, 1, I don't know what that is. Translation? Translate. When you're sketching like the same shape except moving it, when you put the new point down, you can't put the letter C down because the letter C would be this point up here and you can't have 2 points named the same letter. So they'll put this little accent point or whatever that is, it's called C prime. So my new point for C prime is right there. Where's my new point for B prime? Again, I go down 2, back 1. Here's my new B prime point. A prime, down 2, left 1 goes right here. So now my new triangle looks like this, with all of its new points there. And they might ask you to give those new points, but you should be able to do that there. Okay, you can kind of see that, that's our little slide there. What if they ask you to reflect, check this one out, this one's a fun one. What if you were supposed to reflect the shape around the y-axis? What if I were supposed to reflect it over this y-axis? Any idea how I would do that? And again, you'd have to think about this being a piece of paper and you're folding it and making it shape over here. Thoughts, anybody? Christian?
Would you put it on the other side, like where the new one, would you put it on the other side?
Well, it ends up being on this other side, but if you're reflecting it, the key is what are you reflecting it around? You're reflecting it around the y-axis. That means the y-axis is your folding point. Okay, which means this. If I think about this as being my folding point, and I fold and bring this paper back here, this point here is going to be the same distance from the y-axis on the opposite side as it is on this side. So this point right here just comes back. This is 1, 2 places over that way, so it goes reverse 2 places. So this would be my C prime prime because I can't have a C prime because I've already got a C prime. Letter A, same thing. About the y-axis, it's from this point, it's 2 this way, so you come back 2 this way, and that's going to be my A prime prime. And the letter B gets a little more complicated. How far away is the letter B from the y-axis? How many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So to find the new one, you have to go that same exact spaces back the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is my B prime prime. And this is what my new triangle would look like being reflected on that axis, because it's like a piece of paper. I took it, I folded it over on top, and that's the shape that it ends up over there. I don't think, well, we won't talk about rotation because rotation gets a little more complicated and they talk about that a little bit later, but at least you can kind of see that, how those shapes kind of spin and or move. I suppose we could. Huh? Nah, we're not gonna talk about that. That should probably get you pretty much close to home on whatever it is.